Greetings, friends. I just wanted to say what's up. And check in something that popped into my head a few days ago. I was reminded of how I was watching like a Cesar Millan documentary about like dogs and how there's this group. It's a black group too, which I love. But there's this group that rehabilitates fighting dogs. And you're kind of like dogs that have killed other dogs, viciously attacked other dogs. And I won't get graphic, but and dogs that have been attacked by other dogs. And you're like, many pit bulls at that, and there's such a propaganda or, wall against pit bulls. And however you feel about it, I'm not going to go into it. But the science behind how they rehabilitate dogs, and what they were doing was, there was this really big, I want to say pit bull or Rottweiler. It was a fighting dog. And there's very manipulative things that they do to make dogs fighting dogs. And I'll save you the details about that. But there's this group, there's these two black men, and what they do is, one has the dog on a leash, and the other one has like a suit on, just like the bite-proof suit. And what they do is, one has the dog on a leash and a muzzle, and the person with the bite-proof suit walks up to the dog, and the dog growls, all vicious, ready to attack. Ready to attack. And the dog, and they're doing this because the dog is reacting to fear, knowing either I have to attack or I will be attacked. And it's vicious. And what they do is then in the process of this dog reacting, they check the dog. Hey. And to reset his brain to stop attacking. And the dog lunges at this person. The dog continues to lunge. And after a while, what happens is, the dog learns. The trainer's goal is to reset the dog's brain and his mind before he attacks. So in the process of him reacting to what he sees as a threat, the trainer, the rehabilitationist, goes, I'm trying to snap the dog's mind out of this fight or flight mentality. And so they do it over and over again, and he's like, one portion of this dog's fight or flight mentality is he doesn't trust anyone. And in order to make a good fighting dog, you kind of have to break them, but make them trust the owner or the person that's fighting them, because they just want to please that. And so the person that's rehabilitating this fighting dog has to gain the dog's trust, which has already been broken. And he's lunging at this person, and over and over again, up, over and over again. The person with the bite-proof suit walks up, the dog lunges, growls at him, and in the process of this training, you're kind of like, this seems hopeless, dude. This dog is a crocodile with a leash on, bro. This is a piranha, okay? He's killing everything, a shark. And in the process of this documentary, somebody goes, hey, y'all got puppies? Y'all selling this dog? Y'all teaching him how to fight? And they're like, no, not at all. We getting it out of him. We getting that fight, that fear, that anger. We getting it out of him. And all of a sudden I realized, like, you have to gain this dog's trust now, because this dog is stuck reacting in this fight or flight mentality, and it is all dependent on how good of a job the rehabilitationist can do at gaining this dog's trust and teaching him not to be afraid. And after a while of catching this dog in fear, in fight or flight, right, the dog begins to learn, I don't have to be afraid. I don't have to react. I don't have to fight. And it's trusting the owner, that the owner has brought this dog into a safe space, not an arena to fight or die, right? terrifying, very manipulative. And so I think about people who've been through multiple different traumas. I won't say what. You know what your trauma has been. You know what you've suffered through, right? And a lot of times the enemy knows our trauma, right? Like psychology and therapy and EMDR and DBT and all these things that could heal you and give you breakthrough and give you peace, right? Jesus said, I come so that they would have life and life abundant. He said, the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and destroy, but I have come that they may have life and life abundantly. Why did Jesus say it second? Because it's more powerful. Because him coming is more powerful than the enemy. And the enemy is nothing compared to, like, the enemy knows our trauma. And Jesus is always looking to give us life abundantly. And he didn't just mean heaven. He meant even now, to set us free, to set the captives free. Isaiah prophesied that Jesus would come to set the captives free. And so sometimes in this world, we have an enemy. We have an enemy that is strong. And the Bible also says that the enemy is cunning. Cunning, what does that mean? Like, he's very crafty. He's very particular. You ever have somebody say the worst thing at the best possible time? Like, oh, the worst possible thing at the best possible time. That's our enemy. That very much is our enemy. He'll say the worst possible thing at the best time to get you to react and switch into fight or flight to preserve yourself. But the thing is, the best way for us to get out of this fight or flight mentality is shut the ear, shut the mouth of the enemy. Satan, we bind your lying voice in the name of Jesus Christ away from me, right? And stop believing the lie and not react and get into fight or flight. But another thing is, we trust our handler. We have to trust the one that has come to set us free. That's come to set us free. We have to trust the one who's given his life for us. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. I lay my life down for my sheep. My sheep know my voice. They will not listen to another. Right? Jesus, he will lead us to green pastures. I will leave the 99 sheep to go get the one. He will not leave you nor forsake you, nor leave you an orphan, so much so that he will lay his life down for you, regardless of what they did. It says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. And he who opens up, I will come in with him and dine and supplicate, right? That means to spend time and teach you and learn about you and teach you about myself. Take my yoke upon you. My burden is easy, my yoke is light. Regardless of what they've done to you, know that there's healing, know that there's freedom, know that there's freedom. And I'm speaking to myself. Jesus, let this be true inside of me. Let this be true inside of me. Regardless of what was done to you, regardless of where they left you, regardless of how they sacrificed you, regardless of what they released onto you and attacked you, guess what? We have a therapist, we have a high priest, we have a king, we have a shepherd, somebody who's knocking at the door continuously, helping us come out of that fight or flight, helping us come out of that fear, helping us break through. And we have to be still and know that he's God. And in some seasons, the Lord, and they call it breaking the dog, right? They call it breaking because there's a will to fight or flight, and they have to break it, but they don't break it by abuse. They break it by consistency. And how Jesus transforms your heart. Be not conformed to the ways of this world, that fight, flight, whatever they left you in, right? Do not be conformed to the ways of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What's awesome about science has learned that trauma, even when we're young, our brains haven't fully developed, and so memories don't get stored in a part of how we reason, right? A lot of times memories get stuck in our fight or flight responses. And so sometimes things can trigger a memory in your life, right? And things can trigger a smell, right? A smell. I remember how my old nursery used to smell, right? I remember how the old car back in the 91, 92, the cars smelled like real metal, you know, and I remember how graham crackers smelled in cereal, right? I remember that. And it's how smells can trigger something in your emotion, right? It's the same way how you can be walking down the street and all of a sudden you see a blue balloon, and it brings you some, like, literally out of body, because our bodies remember and store, and our brain can attach the things that happen to us, and literally it's so powerful that we're so powerful that we're there, that it brings us there. And all of a sudden, if something was terrifying, people who have PTSD coming back from war wake up in the middle of the night horrified, because their parts of their brain has not processed the trauma they have gone through. And sometimes they just react. People who have survived abusive relationships or sexual trauma, or people who have been in sex trafficking, or bought and sold into sex slavery, right? They easily can have, we would call them, you could even call some people, not even just those, people who have been prostituted, and people who have been abandoned, people who have been in prisons, right? There's psychological things that have happened to them, and they react, they react to this world, and certain things trigger them. And as a kid, or as an immature person, I wouldn't even say a kid, as someone who is immature, it's very much easy to see somebody who seems a little off and reacts and angry, but we don't know what they've been through. We don't know what they've been through. You know, I remember dating someone who just got angry, and I was like, you're a little off, and you're a little, and I would judge them in my heart, and I didn't realize that they went through a lot of trauma, you know, and while their trauma is very apparent, mine is probably hidden. I can wear it. Actually, this world may even pat you on the back for the trauma that you've been through, things that you've done to people, you know what I mean? Things that you said, and me so. And I guess the point I want to make is, like, regardless of the trauma we've been through, regardless of what they've done to us, we have a healer that is able and will meet us where we are, and is faithful to go find us. He will leave the 99. Those people that seem like they got it all together, Jesus desires to come find you where you are and lead them. He's desires. Somebody said this to me when I was broken in porn addiction, right? I was broken, and I felt like Jesus couldn't love me. Even just saying that brought me back to how lost I felt. Like, Jesus can't love me because I'm stuck in it. And not only that, can Jesus not love me, I'm pretty sure Jesus don't love me because I'm stuck in it. He should just set me free. And a lot of times, instead of just dealing with the fruit of your life, Jesus wants to deal with the, like, core of it. It's one thing to, if his word says, I will leave you, I will love you, I will never leave you nor forsake you, and I believe that he has left me and forsake me, and then out of that I have an addiction. Jesus wants to deal with the root. The addiction is secondary. Let me deal with the root. Why do you believe that? Why do you feel like that? But I remember in that process, one of my friends said, they said, Anthony, like, Jesus, he wants to be the king of your life. Like, he loves being the people's champ. And I'm like, okay, you know, what do you mean? He's like, he loves being the people's champion. And I'm like, okay. He's like, no, Jesus loves he doesn't get weary of going and finding you and cleaning you up. The backslider, right? He is married to the backslider, right? And God uses that figure to explain how he leaves those who need him. He goes and finds them and grabs them. A sheep lost in a thicket, he goes, and in a crevasse, he travels through the wilderness to go find you. His eye is on you. He leaves the 99 to go find you. And so he said, Anthony, I need you to know this, man. Jesus doesn't get weary of finding you and cleaning you up. But you need to know that you are his sheep. Oh, man. How lost, how afraid, how scary I felt. how lost, how afraid, how scary I felt to feel like God has turned his back on me, right? But the truth of the matter is, he will never leave me nor forsake me. But it was a lie the enemy wanted me to believe to get me stuck in fight or flight or reacting to God. And in that reaction, I would medicate myself with pornography, and my attitude would share that. My attitude would show that. And then I had to stop. That turmoil settled because I realized I had to trust in who the Father, I had to trust who Jesus was and is, instead of trusting in my ability to fix myself. And the moment we stop and go, I can't fix myself. Me fixing myself looks a lot like that dog, that dog that was fought, trying to react and lunge, and the whole time Jesus is, I got you. I'm mad because I'm lunging. I'm mad because I'm reacting, and the whole time Jesus is like, but I have you. In the process I have you in, the season you're in, even though it feels mundane or you feel stuck, he's teaching you and gaining your trust. And sometimes it's hard to think Jesus is gaining your trust when you have a threat walking towards you that you feel like I can't overcome, right? And Jesus, the whole time, Jesus is like, I'm just teaching you to trust me. I'm just teaching you to trust me, and I'm trying to pull the trauma out of you, and I need your eyes to be on me. I need your eyes to be on me. So I pray right now, if there's an area that you can lay something down and say, Father, I trust you. No, or maybe you're caught and stuck in this fight or flight. Maybe flashbacks of the things that you suffered through, or maybe you feel like you're emotionally breaking down. I just want to tell you, like, be still. I speak that over you right now. Be still and know that he is God of your life. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. Trust him through this process as he's rehabilitating you. He's rehabilitating you. And know that this process is intentional. You're not lost, stuck in a cage or a kennel. Today you are before the Lord. You're seated in heavenly places. I just want to remind you. And I'm reminding myself that the Father has it planned out. And your healing may be natural. Your healing may not be presto changeo. I come out of the water healed and have this great testimony. Your healing very much well be. I need to go to therapy. I'm too stubborn. I think I'm going to feel fit. I think I can heal myself. No, I need to go to therapy. I need to go to counseling. I need to reach out to somebody. I need to ask somebody for forgiveness, and I need to give my forgiveness. Like, it may very much well just be that natural. But that process of you walking through healing, Jesus said, if you ask, you shall receive. If you seek, you shall find. And if you knock, the door will be open to you. Ask, seek, knock. This process of, if the willingness to walk, Jesus said, take up your mat and rise. Take up your mat and walk. Rise up and take up your mat and walk. A lot of times it's the simplest, smallest things. We want this huge, big miracle, and really God is wanting us to do the smallest things to show that we invest in who he is. Jesus told the paralytic, take up your mat and walk, right? And unless the man had any type of faith and believed in what Jesus said and who he was, he would have never had to, he would have been laying there. But the moment he tried to walk is the moment he began walking. I want to remind you that regardless of what the scenario is, I pray that you take that first step and go, I don't know what it is. In the first door you knock on, or the first question you ask, or the first thing you seek may not be it, but that is the beginning of walking. Today I was talking to somebody and I was like, a lot of depression, at least in my experience, is the absence of hope, right? It says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. Faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. And so I'm like, a lot of times depression comes as when they're in the absence of, I don't know what to hope for. I don't have passion for anything. And I'm kind of stuck in a scenario that doesn't yield hope or passion or an idea or how to move forward. I remember I grew up in North Minneapolis, and as a child, I was depressed. As a child, Tangletown, North Minneapolis. As a child, I was depressed. We lived in public housing. And I remember nights that the power would be out, or we didn't have any food, and I would just stare in this dark house out the back window, hopeless. Like, I don't know, I want more. in this world that I've been given as like a 6-year-old ain't worthy of me, right? As a 6-year-old, and feeling hopeless, and feeling the weight of my mom's hopelessness, and feeling the weight of my dad's absence, right? And not knowing, and as a teenager going, I don't know what to be passionate for. And in North Minneapolis, at least in my neighborhood, it's probably not different than yours. When you grow up in the hood, like it's really not much to hope for. You know, I remember there was one time a kid at my school got murdered a block away from my house, and I was like, that could have been me. And I remember getting shot at and the whole nine, and I'm like, people dropping like flies. And there's really not too many options. It's hard to know what to be hopeful for. But it wasn't until God put what was possible. It says, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, nor has it entered in the heart of man what God has prepared for those that love him. It took me trusting and believing in God's spirit to show me that it was possible, and life happened. I have come to give them life, and life more abundantly. And so you may be from a city full of fighting dogs. You may be from a city that's a war zone. You may be from a place where people drop like flies. But when Jesus' spirit comes inside of you, right, and fills you and makes you his home, he comes and gives you life, that you may life and life more abundantly, right? And so areas where the enemy has set up camp to kill, steal, and destroy, God has put it inside of you so that you could have life and life more abundantly. Let me hurry up and close, but I think sometimes depression is very much the absence of hope, what to look forward to, and the absence of faith is like what to be passionate about. And so, Father, I pray that you remove the spirit of depression and the spirit of loneliness, the spirit of fear, the spirit of fatigue, even right now, and remind whoever's watching this, Lord, that you have plans for them. Not this cliche, God has a great plan for your life. No, you are literally there right now, active, moving forward in their life, because you have a plan and a will that you will do. And on this faith rock, I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. The gates of hell will not prevail. I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. I pray that God ignites your spirit today and give you hope in a dark place.